The gender pay gap in the UK is the fifth widest in Europe. That's according to figures out today. The government said it's pressing ahead with plans to make firms with more than 250 workers publish the average pay of their male and female employees. Elizabeth Glinker reports.
It's a battle that's been raging for decades. The fight by female car workers at Ford's Dagenham plant in the late 60s eventually led to the passing of the Equal Pay Act in 1970. But 45 years on, and the gap remains. Today, the Prime Minister vowed to change that within a generation.
So what we need to do is now identify where the gender pay gap is and then work out how best to deal with its causes. And so this proposal for greater transparency, I think, is an important step along the way. If you've got the transparency, if you can see in every company how big the gap is and you're transparent about it, you can then start asking yourself, well, what can we do and what can we, the government, do to try and close this gap?
But realising that goal is still a major challenge. While the pay gap is currently smaller than it's been since records began in 1997, the figures show that on average, men are still earning 9.4% more than women in full-time work. The campaigners say they welcome today's news, but the devil is in the detail.
If you just publish a pay gap, the difference between the median of women's pay and the median of men's pay won't make much difference. What we need is much more detail by job, the detail including overtime and bonuses, so that men and women can properly compare their pay.
Critics argue that life choices play a major part in determining a person's earning potential, but the goal of equal pay for equal work is one businesses are being asked to embrace. A consultation on the detail of the regulations will now begin. Elizabeth Glinker, BBC News.
Well, Alex Mitzi is an employment lawyer at the solicitors firm Howard Kennedy and joins me now. So, good initiative in your view?
Yes, I think it is. As Mr Cameron said, the gender pay gap, despite all the progress that women have made, does seem to be intractable, and it's only by having more data available that we'll be able to assess the causes of this very complex phenomenon.
Averages are quite a blunt instrument, though. I mean, they won't tell us whether men and women are exactly being paid different amounts for the same work, though, will they?
No. We still don't know exactly what data companies will have to publish, but clearly there will have to be an averaging exercise of some kind, and there won't be individual comparisons by role. However, even basic statistical information will give companies an opportunity to assess where there might be discrepancies, and as any CFO will tell you, what gets measured gets managed.
Yeah. Is the government going for the wrong target here, though? I mean, are large companies the ones most likely to have a gender pay gap, or is it likely to be the smaller fry?
Well, there is an issue with smaller businesses in that they're far less likely to have formal pay scales or grades, and so with salaries negotiated on an individual basis, it's easier for discrimination to creep in, even inadvertently, I think.
I mean, the Institute of Directors' response to this today, they say that this gap isn't caused by discrimination, it's more down to lifestyle choices and indeed the kind of work being taken sometimes. Do you go along with that?
There is certainly some evidence of that. Women are disproportionately represented in some low-paid sectors, and in particular in part-time roles, which tend to be lower paid overall. However, I think it's unwise to suggest that discrimination is a thing of the past, because our experience is that it certainly isn't.
But isn't this a bit of a sticking plaster? I mean, won't we genuinely only get real change when you have things like better childcare, longer school days, equal rights for women and men on maternity and paternity leave?
Well, I think all of those would contribute enormously to narrowing the gap. I think the publishing of data, however, will help us to analyse what the causes are and make sure that the solutions are tailored appropriately.
Do you think there's a case then for benchmarking specific industries once we get this data put together?
I think that is one of the exercises that will need to be undertaken. The gap varies enormously between industries. For example, in financial services, it's over 30%. Whereas in some industries like water management, the gap is very minimal, possibly because fewer women are employed in those industries. So I think with variation that wide, there does need to be some assessment on an industry-by-industry basis.
All right, and in a word, Alex, a lot of business lobbyists tonight saying this is an unfair business burden.
Well, this is only going to be an obligation on the biggest companies with the most resources.
All right, Alex Mitzi, thanks for joining us.